Hello friends, this is Dr. Vinayak Pagedar welcoming you back to another session of direct taxes. Hope I am meeting you in the best of health and I wish you the best of health now and forever too. Now today we'll be discussing the provision of section 80D and that is Mediclaim Insurance Premium. There's an amendment introduced by the Finance Act 2019, so we'll be covering that amendment too along with an illustration. So keep concentrating and all the best. Now, section 80D covers Mediclaim Insurance Premium. Traditionally, it covered only Mediclaim Insurance Premium, but now as the time progressed, also it covers medical expenses and preventive health check too. We'll look into it, how it works. A simple way to remember the section is Medi rhymes with 80D. So remember Medi, 80D. Whenever you hear Mediclaim, Medi is talking about section 80D. A simple way to remember. Now, why do we pay Mediclaim Insurance Premium? Mediclaim Insurance Premium is basically health insurance premium and we are trying to cover the risk of hospitalization, ill health, accidents, so on and so forth. Suppose I meet with an accident and land up in hospital, then we all know that today the hospitalization expenses are very, very heavy. If a person is hospitalized due to an accident or ill health or any other reason, the hospital bills, they may give you a heart attack even after you're cured. So if you want to protect yourself from the hospital bills, the smart thing to do is to take health insurance. Also, you may be constantly worried that what if I fall sick? What if I fall sick? If I land up at hospital, then what happens? So if you want to kill your worries, not yourself, if you want to kill your worries, get rid of your worries and the risk of hospitalization too, the smart thing to do is pay Mediclaim insurance to an insurance company and live worry free. So if you pay health insurance, it is the freedom from all your future financial worries, especially relating to health. Now what has this got to do with income tax? If I pay my Mediclaim Insurance Premium, it is a personal expense. And personal expenses should not be allowed as deduction. But the government encourages you to take health insurance and secure your future, and thereby in order to cultivate this good habit in you, they give you the tax benefit under chapter 6A through section 80D if you pay your health insurance premium. And that is what 80D is all about. It is basically a tax incentive in order to cultivate a good habit of covering your health through a Mediclaim policy. Okay, now whenever you deal with these sections, any section of deduction, the first question you should ask yourself is who should the assessee be? And here the assessee could be an individual or an HUF. It doesn't matter whether you're a resident or non-resident, you just have to be an individual or HUF. Section 80D deduction is not allowed to a company, to a firm, so on and so forth. The assessee has to be either an individual or an HUF, a Hindu undivided family. And now we'll exactly look into the scope of 80D. It covers the Mediclaim Insurance Premium, which I've written as MIP. Also, it covers the PHC, the Preventive Health Check. Now, what is Preventive Health Check? Today, in today's world, lifestyle diseases are very common. Like for example, people at a very young age may develop coronary disease, that is heart disease, something like diabetes, and these diseases can be controlled if they are predicted or found out early through medical tests. And today section 80D also covers the cost of your medical checkups, what is termed here as a preventive health check. The third thing it also covers is medical expenses in select cases, not always. It also covers medical expenses in select cases, and we'll be going into those select cases a bit later in the provision. So once again, my friends, the assessee has to be an individual or an HUF, and what is covered in this section? The Mediclaim insurance premium, the cost of the preventive health check, and third is medical expenses in certain cases only. Okay. Now let us analyze the deduction further. The MIP, etc., that is the PHC, the medical expenses, everything. You should ask yourself certain questions. The first question is, who should pay? In order to get the deduction, who should pay the Mediclaim insurance premium? The second is, for whom it should be paid. I am paying the Mediclaim, but who all can I pay it for? Can I pay it for my brother, sister, etc.? So the second question is, for whom? The third question is, to whom should you pay it? Whom should you pay it to? And the last question is, how? The mode of payment. So you ask yourself certain questions, you will get the answers. Number one, who should pay? Number two, for whom? Number three, to whom? And the fourth question is how it should be paid. Now, who should pay? Very, very simple. It is the assessee who should pay the Mediclaim insurance premium. For example, I am the assessee. If I want the deduction, then I should pay the Mediclaim insurance premium. I hope this is clear. Second question, for whom it should be paid? Or before I go to that for whom, let's also consider the first point. Who should pay? Assessee should pay. Let us say my employer pays the Mediclaim insurance premium for me. Understand, my employer pays my Mediclaim insurance premium. Can I get the deduction? Answer is no. Because if you want ATD deduction, who should pay? The assessee should himself pay. The second question is, for whom it should be paid. Okay, let's see. If I am an individual assessee, like yours truly, I am an individual assessee, I can pay the premium for myself, I can pay it for my spouse, I can pay it for my parents, and I can pay it for my children. So only 4 persons are covered here, the immediate family, that is self, spouse, children, and parents. Now here try and understand, spouse and parents could be dependent as well as independent. For example, I pay Mediclaim premium for my wife who is dependent on me. Will I get the deduction? Answer is yes. I pay Mediclaim premium for my parents who are not dependent on me. Will I get the deduction? The answer is yes. Spouse and parents could be dependent or independent. My friends, children, only those children who are dependent on the assessee are eligible for the deduction. This means if Mr. A pays Mediclaim for his son who's studying, we assume he is dependent and so Mr. A can get the deduction. But if Mr. A pays the premium for his son who's employed, then by the tenor of this question, it so seems that the son is independent and therefore any Mediclaim paid for independent children cannot qualify for deduction. I hope this is clear. Now my friends, if you are an HUF assessee, a Hindu undivided family can also get this deduction. A Hindu undivided family does not have a spouse, does not have children, does not have parents. So who do they pay it for? An HUF can pay for any member of the HUF who's dependent on the HUF. So HUF can pay for any member of the HUF. The next question is, to whom it should be paid? Kisko bharne ka? So you pay to GACO, G-A-C-O. So the first is GIC, that is the General Insurance Corporation of India. Any approved insurance company approved by the IRDA. For example, New India Assurance, ICICI Lombard. These are approved insurance companies in the health insurance sector. The CGHS, Central Government Health Scheme. CGHS, Central Government Health Scheme, or any other health scheme. So once again I repeat, to whom it should be paid? To the GIC, to an approved insurance company, to the Central Government Health Scheme, or any other health scheme. The last question, how should it be paid? And remember my friends, here there is a restriction on the medical expenses and the Mediclaim. Now the preventive health check could be paid by any mode. The preventive health check could be paid by any mode. It could be paid by cash, it could be paid by check. Anyhow you pay for your diagnostic test, not a problem. But in any other case except the preventive health check, the payment has to go through a banking channel, and cash payment is therefore not allowed, and any other mode of payment except cash would be allowed. So moral of the story, the preventive health check you pay by any mode. Any other case, like for example, you're paying your Mediclaim, then the cash payment is not going to be allowed. You pay by check, you pay by a bank transfer, you pay by your credit card, so on and so forth, it will be allowed. I hope this is clear. So the questions, who should pay, for whom, to whom, and how the premium should be paid. I believe this analysis is through. Let's go ahead. Now let us analyze how we calculate the deduction. Try and understand my friends. We have two categories here. One is self and the immediate family, that is the spouse and children. And category number 2 is the parents. The deduction is available category wise. Now here what the provision says is, if any member is a senior citizen, then the limit can be extended to rupees 50,000. Time and again this limit has been increased considering the increased cost of Mediclaim as well as the cost of health expenses. So if any person is a senior citizen, the deduction can go up to rupees 50,000, whereas if no one is a senior citizen, then the deduction is restricted to 25,000. Correct? I pay for myself, I am a senior citizen, then I can get a deduction up to 50,000 rupees in category 1. Category number 2 is exclusive for the parents. Remember, parents means mother or father, does not cover grandparents. This is only the parents, mother or father. Again, if the parent whom you are paying for is a senior citizen, then the limit in second category 2 can go up to 50,000. If they are not senior citizens, then the second category limit is 25,000. I believe this is clear. Now you'll say, who is a senior citizen? Most of you are well aware, but I'll define senior citizen for you. It says senior citizen means a resident individual. Senior citizen means a resident individual who is 60 years or more at any time during the PY. A senior citizen means a resident individual who is 60 years or more at any time during the PY. So any time during the year, if you are 60 years or more and you happen to be a resident of India, then only you are classified as a senior citizen and the 50,000 limit will be available. I'll clear this point. Let us say I pay premium for my mother who is a 70-year-old non-resident of India. then what will be the maximum limit? And I know that few of you are thinking no deduction. That is wrong. That is wrong. You will get deduction. But since the mother was a non-resident, she does not fall in the definition of senior citizen, and therefore you cannot get the 50,000 deduction. The deduction will be restricted to 25,000 in the parent category. I hope this is clear. So senior citizen, that means 60 or more, and you have to be a resident individual, and if I make the payment for a senior citizen, then only I get 50,000. If I make it for a non-resident who is a part of my family, then in that case it is restricted to 25,000. I believe this point is clear. Okay. Now few additional points we need to understand, and then we'll do an illustration. Okay, let's go here. Now this is the amendment which is introduced by the Finance Act, and please understand this is very simple. Nowadays quite a few insurance companies accept the Mediclaim amount in lump sum for a number of years. For example, ICICI Lombard comes to me and says, Vinayak, we can cover you for Mediclaim premium. If you pay us 1 lakh rupees, we'll cover you for 10 years. The normal premium would be 15,000. But if you're paying 1 lakh right now, then we are covering you for 10 years. This means per year, how much would the premium cost me? It would cost me 10,000. Now, in order to help the SICs to get the deduction, they have simply put it that if Mediclaim is paid for more than 1 year through a lump sum amount, then you have to divide that lump sum by the number of years in order to calculate the deduction. That means proportionate deduction will be allowed, and that is what the amendment is all about. I hope this is clear. We'll be covering this point in the illustration too. Next, few more to go. Number 1. Now remember, the aggregate deduction in any category cannot exceed rupees 50,000. This means what? This means if I am a senior citizen, I am paying premium for myself, I am paying premium for my wife who is not a senior citizen, then in that case I am a senior citizen. So the maximum deduction in the category 1 cannot be more than 50,000. Don't say 50 plus 25 is equal to 75,000. Not like that. The normal deduction is 25. But if there is a senior citizen, the deduction can go up to 50,000. Now I pay for myself. I am a senior citizen. I also pay for my mother. She is also a senior citizen. Then in that case, in category 1 we can get 50,000 for self, spouse, child, and in category 2 I can get another 50,000 for my mother. So 50 plus 50 is equal to 1 lakh deduction. So the deduction can be maximum 50,000, not per person but per category. So in category 1 you can get maximum 50, in category 2 you can get maximum 50. So aggregate comes to 1 lakh rupees. But the deduction is category wise. Clear? Per category you get 50,000. I hope this is clear. Now, you'll say, what about an HUF? In case of an HUF, again, if members are senior citizens, then the deduction for the HUF can be up to 50,000. Otherwise, the normal deduction is 25,000. HUF does not have parents, children, etc. So we cannot take the HUF deduction up to 1 lakh rupees. In case of an HUF, if any member is a senior citizen, then 50,000. If not, then 25,000. Clear? Okay. Now, the deduction for preventive health check is 5,000 rupees across the entire family and parents. That means you, your spouse, your children and your parents put together. The deduction cannot be more than 5,000 for the preventive health check. And this 5,000 is not an extra deduction above the 50,000. This is included in the maximum limit. So you'll get a deduction of 5,000 for preventive health check, but this 5,000 is not an extra deduction. This 5,000 is to be included in the 50 or the 25,000 as the case may be across both the categories. We'll do an illustration. This will be very clear. Now, the medical expenses, I told you, they will be covered in certain cases only, and that is only if the patient is a senior citizen. If I'm paying Mediclaim expenses, if I'm paying medical expenses, then I or the patient, whoever the patient is, spouse, child, parents, have to be a senior citizen. And such a senior citizen should not be covered under a Mediclaim policy. So if the insurance company is protecting him through a Mediclaim policy, then his medical expenses cannot be allowed. So there are two conditions. Both should be satisfied. Then only the medical expenses will be allowed. First condition is they are spent on a senior citizen, and the second condition is that senior citizen does not have a Mediclaim policy. Clear? Now we'll proceed with an illustration. Sorry. Okay. So we've got a question. We've got an assessee. His name is Mr. X, and he has made some expenses during the financial year 1920. Now let's see what the expenses are. Number one, he has paid Mediclaim premium to GIC, rupees 10,000 in cash for his son. Now, as far as son is concerned, it's fine. But my dear friends, Mediclaim should not be paid in cash, and therefore this 10,000 cannot qualify for deduction. Clear? You can pay for your son, you can pay for your children, no problem. But it should not be paid in cash, and since this is paid in cash, this deduction cannot be claimed by Mr. X. Okay. Also, he's paid 80,000 rupees through ECS. ECS is Electronic Clearing System. Through the bank transfer, he's paid 80,000 rupees, and that is paid for himself. Now, this 80,000 is not for this year. This policy is a 10-year policy. So in short, if 80,000 is for 10 years, then per year, how much deduction can you get? Correct. The answer is 8,000 per year. So this was the amendment, and we'll see the solution too. Okay, additionally, let's see what has happened. 7,000 more is paid for the wife by check. Wife is a part of life. It has been paid by check. Everything is fine. So this 7,000 also you can claim as deduction. 9,000 is paid for the brother. How is it paid? By cash check? Nothing is mentioned. We assume it is paid by check through a banking system. Fine. But it is paid for the brother. And in this section, only the immediate family, that is spouse, children and parents are covered. Brother, sister, uncle, aunt, grandparents do not qualify for deduction. So even if you pay for your dependent brother, you cannot get the deduction. We only cover self, spouse, parents and children. So once again, in point number 1, 10,000 was paid in cash, so 10,000 is not allowed. Out of the 80,000 paid, we get proportionate deduction, 8,000 and 7,000 for the wife. So till now, 15,000 we can consider. Now, Mediclaim premium was also paid for the mother. The age of the mother was 67 years. This means she is a senior citizen, and he has paid 12,000 rupees for the senior citizen parent. Fine. This 12,000 will qualify for deduction. The mode of payment is not mentioned in the question. We assume positively that it is paid in a mode other than cash. Now the third point, be very careful. There is some medical expenditure. The medical expenditure is incurred on the treatment of the 72-year-old father. Father is a senior citizen. He's 72 years old. And there is some medical expenses incurred. Maybe he was hospitalized. Some medical bills have come. That amount is paid. How much is paid? 39,000 for a senior citizen father. And for the mother also, 25,000 rupees was paid for medical expenses. Now understand, my friends, in point number 2, it is very clear that the mother is covered by a Mediclaim policy. She has Mediclaim Insurance. The insurance company is protecting her health. Correct? And so her medical expenses cannot be allowed. But if you look throughout the question, there's no mention that the father has a Mediclaim. And so the father is a senior citizen. His medical expenses, if we are paying, we can get the deduction for that. So 39,000 will qualify for deduction, 25,000 no deduction. Okay, let's move ahead. And now there was some expenditure on the preventive health check, 4,000 for self, and for the parents 3,000 rupees was incurred on a preventive health check. Now 4 and 3 total is 7,000, but we'll have to juggle it, bring it down to 5,000 and infuse it into the deduction of 50 or 25 as the case may be. So my friends, since we've gone through the question, now let us start computing the deduction under section 80D. So we'll say computation of deduction. We'll have two categories. The first is for self, spouse and child, and the second is for the parents. Okay, step by step. Now, step 1. Let us take the eligible Mediclaim premium paid. For self, spouse and child put together, the eligible qualifying Mediclaim premium, point number 1, is how much? 10,000 can't be allowed. Out of 80,000, 8,000 is allowed, proportionate, and 7,000 for the wife. So 8 and 7, 15,000 qualifies. For the parents, yes, there's some Mediclaim premium paid for the mother, 12,000. So we put 12,000 here. So step 1, we cover the Mediclaim premium. Step 2, let's go to the preventive health check. Now I should try to juggle this amount of preventive health check in a manner so that I can claim as much deduction as possible. I'll have to go by trial and error, and by the tenor of the question it so seems that it would be better to claim the entire 4,000 in self, spouse, children category and the balance 1,000 in the parents category. Alternately, you could take 3 in the parents category, 2 in the self, spouse, children category. Total cannot be more than 5. Correct? But that would reduce your deduction. You try it on your own and you see that the deduction will reduce. It is not wrong, but it is foolish. I should try to calculate in a manner so that I can claim the maximum deduction legally. I am not cheating. Option is given to me. I should try my best to claim the maximum possible deduction legally. This is what tax planning is all about. So as a measure of tax planning, what I do is, I would like to claim 4,000 entirely in the self, spouse, child category and the balance 1,000 out of the remaining 3,000 in parents category. Only 1,000 I can claim in the parents category. Clear? Okay. Now some students ask me, sir, is it possible that I claim 5,000 in self, spouse, child and 0 in the parents category? So my answer to you is, you fools, if you paid only 4,000 for yourself, why will the government give you a deduction of 5,000? Common sense, most uncommon. So apply your common sense. Beyond the world of taxation is a bigger world called as common sense. So when I've only paid 4,000 in the self, spouse, child category, I cannot get 5,000 deduction in that category. I've paid only 4,000, so I can claim maximum 4,000. And the overall deduction across both the categories cannot be more than 5,000. So as I told you, out of the 3,000, I can claim only 1,000. Clear? Now my friends, the third and the final part, let's come to it quickly but in an organized manner. Medical expenses were paid. Remember, the condition is that they have to be paid for a senior citizen, and that senior citizen should not have a Mediclaim cover. That senior citizen should not have a Mediclaim insurance cover. So the amount which we paid for the father, 39,000, qualifies for deduction. Whatever you pay for the mother does not qualify for deduction. So you cannot get a deduction for that 25,000 because your mother already has a Mediclaim policy. Okay. So the total eligible amount in the self, spouse and child category, 15 plus 4, that is 19,000, correct? And in the parents category, 39 plus 140 plus 12, that is 52,000. Okay. Now the maximum limit categories wise, let's go. Self, spouse, child category, the maximum limit can be 25,000 because there is no senior citizen. So the maximum limit in the self, spouse and child category can only be 25,000. It is not 25,000 per person. It is 25,000 for the category since there is no senior citizen. But parents, you got senior citizen. So my friends, there the maximum limit will be 50,000. The total eligible amount or the maximum limit, whichever is lower, is the deduction. And the lower in the first case is 19,000. In the second case, it is 50,000. So 50 plus 19, the deduction under section 80D is 69,000. I hope you've understood it. Do subscribe to the channel. Do hit like if you like the video. It encourages me to put more and more such videos and help you. And I wish you all the best in your endeavor to succeed. Stay safe, stay healthy, take care, bye-bye.